Hey, JulesBlessedVegan, and as always, welcome to my channel. And for those of you who are new, I know you can benefit. So I'm struggling because my precious nephew Dean OD'd in the middle of the night, like 3 in the morning, and he's in ICU and he's comatose, and my entire family is there, and it's like 800 miles away, and I'm just... I was a nanny and lived with him for a year when he was little. He, as have people on both sides of my family, suffered with mental illness. We just have a chemical imbalance, which is our challenge to overcome. And when he was a little boy, they talked about ADHD. And when he was a teen, they talked about, borderline personality. And then when he was a young adult, they talked about schizophrenia. Like, all these labels, and him initially feeling like he was just stupid, and then feeling like he was different, and just all these things. And he's just this beautiful, beautiful soul with such a lovely heart. And I started talking with him a couple of weeks ago because he's already 36, so he hasn't lived an ordinary life, but he's certainly a full-blown adult. And my sister called a couple weeks ago and said, can you talk to Dean? He's really struggling. And he was really struggling. He'd been off his meds for some time. And so through talking and telling him that it is just a chemical imbalance and that it's not something you brought on yourself, and things that he had never really heard. So we were talking, and I was just really encouraging him to get back to the clinic, get on meds. He promised he would. He did end up going back to the clinic, but they put him on a new regimen. And sometimes with antidepressants and things, it actually wakes you up enough to allow you to act on an inclination. I'm not saying that he was trying to kill himself intentionally, but whatever the case was, he definitely acted on something that was already there. And I know God has a great plan for him. I don't know if it's to go to the next realm or if it's to get the help that he has needed this entire time and very much deserves. So I'm just checking in with you guys because that's what I do. And I always tell you about what's going on in my life in real time. And for those of you who are prayer people, I'm asking for prayer for my nephew Dean specifically, but for all those with mental illness, because I've been blessed. I was blessed enough that, despite my bipolar, I had meds. They worked at the time. And I'm stable today in my relationships and in my lives, and I have enough tools. I worked hard to get those tools. I went to therapy for 10 years. I was in groups. I was hospitalized for 3 times and 1 time for a month. So I worked to get the tools, but that was all grace, because some people who even want to get the tools don't have access to them. And I did. And I consider myself well, but I'm not naive. I always do reality checks on that and know that I can get the help that I need. And some aren't as fortunate. And so prayers all around for all those suffering with mental illness, and for my nephew Dean. All right, if you like, join us if you haven't subscribed, share in the details below if you have an understanding of any of this. And until we talk again, know that you're blessed.